Welcome to another round, would you like? Dungeon Master. And now I bring you to a hidden equipment button. And here we go with the ultimate in cliche pastiches to just do the show itself the way it was. This would almost be a cartoon. Now we must look at the title upside down to really see what is going on in the Final Fantasy world. Because this is no longer Final Fantasy 3. No, give me a no. It is now Dungeon Master 35. And we're gonna take it to the head. We're going as far as we can go before this dungeon runs out of weave. And by weave, I mean it's not exactly the best bootleg. So you've got to stick with me. But have you been reading those absurd words that are coming across the screen? It looks like someone puked on the teleprompter. And then someone put a teleprompter too close to the Japanese language, and it started enslaving us in the technology of the Japanese, who I just made peace with, but now I fear that they're destroying the world in Final Fantasy, that it appears again we've been misled by... No, we haven't been misled by the Japanese, because they will provide us with the heroes to go on, yes. They will be the ones to come to us and say, look, these are our heroes. Can it be the Verge of Chaos in the air? And if it is the Verge of Chaos, this is an extremely long take of this strange cliff pointing off. Is something supposed to... Oh, look, robots. It's the GoBots. No, those are not Transformers. It does look like Lou Reed down there. But is this Wedge? Wedge? That sounds like the name of someone from a Mel Gibson movie. And what's this guy? Judging from the urgency of our orders? Alright, this is our new Mad Cat. That I wish you could hear anything but KMS say on the soundtrack is not exactly true. That I had hoped to always give a chance for KMSA to play in its entirety during the making of Dungeon Master is a little trick I learned from. If you help underwrite the station, they may reward you, which they may reward you anyway, they probably will. I say it's free radio, and they always play badass shiznit, so here we go. Now, that they're still on that mountain shot, I can't vouch for that as far as the action goes. The action got kind of stultified, and so I had to go into commercial mode. But here we are again, walking the ice fields of Angora. And it's like Angora sweater, not like Andorra, the Star Wars series, because this is where all Star Wars comes from. Is Final Fantasy 3. The fact that there's even 3 Star Wars is all in honor of the fact that there's a Final Fantasy 3, and no other 3 exist than Star Wars 3 and Final Fantasy 3. That Final Fantasy 3 is a way bigger game just by having everyone follow it, and Jurassic Park 3 was a way bigger box office draw than any of them. Unfortunately, no one saw it, and they had to pay for their own movie, but that was why it was such a big draw. They saw it 3,000 times a piece and paid $1 million a piece. So, now that we've gotten that out of our hand, what do you think, Dungeon Master? I think this is incredible. We're seeing all these at last Japanese names. Haha. You said you could speak Japanese and learn Japanese history. You didn't know I was the one that would lead you right to the names, and you were ignoring it. You were ignoring that these Japanese names were just flashing out on the screen, convincing you that their culture is intact enough to send these robots into a factory to blow it up. Is that the beginning of what kind of message is that sending? What kind of message is that sending? And that there's a commercial in the bottom of the box is already primeval. And excuse me for not finding the mouse, but that's just indelible. Well, we'll have to get closer to the picture. Look, I wasn't trying to look at these guys' asses, okay? They're all walking with their asses turned to us. Kazuhiro Okawada, he's an amazing object graphic designer, yes! Oh, these are the best guys in the business, man. I love these guys. These guys are Waylon Ali, Aki Ito. I know him from Mega Man. Come on now, everybody remembers Aki Ito. He's one of those Nintendo guys. Went to Squaresoft. That I can't find the Miracle Mouse is not my issue here. It's that I'm looking for it, can't find it. You're going to have to excuse me, folks. I'm getting a ring dinger on my ring ding. See, we got to get in close to here because we had to make the screen smaller for a second just so we could see it in the resolution we're supposed to see. Now, if you can take a tiger wolf on like that with one of those robot suits, I'm sure you'll be made in shade. But if you live with me just for one moment and you trust that I can hit the button. Ah, there it is. Sorry, that was a loop. We didn't mean to A- you. Dungeon Master gets an A- already. Well, we'll be lucky to get a B+ if this keeps clicking on backward. And that I was even trying to adjust the screen is on me. I shouldn't have had the mouse so close to the... Never mind, we're in Dungeon Master mode. We can handle it. Just because we went down in flames and we're going down with the ship and everybody's looking at us like, why are you filming the moss on your wall? Well, maybe I like the moss on my wall. Maybe I study it in patterns, the moss on my wall. But no, that wasn't it. It's trying to use the two technologies at once. It just gets so unbearably hectic when you're doing all the 2 shows a day. And please understand, Dungeon... Wow, he killed that wolf. Dungeon Master has feelings too, alright? The Dungeon Master's sensitive. He has friends that are saving the day by killing the last of the wolves. Which it's always the last of the wolves somewhere. I mean, if it wasn't the last of the wolves, why would these zombies be attacking that are actually gods? And that they're total zombies. It's totally going to be Kefka's fault in the end, but I can't even mention who he is because it's too early in the game for that. But it speaks volumes of this game to be in the midst of its own epic and use its own convolutions to describe its fate against will and time and effort. And you think about the thousands of people like Akio Ito that built these games and made them work, and that they go on a hairpin trigger, and that YouTube's even giving me commercials is beautiful, in that we're dodging everything we can to keep in dungeon mode, and suddenly we're analyzing the dungeon. You have to analyze the architecture of the dungeon, and that she sings that, whoa, what was that? She said like the last of the wolves. I told you she'd eventually kill the last of the wolves, and that no one named anybody is kind of making me wonder how we're controlling this fight, or who's controlling this fight, or why they decided to pick this one as the one for the battles. Maybe they're already the best and they can launch those big beam rays at everybody, huh? What you gonna do, launch a beam ray at me? Maybe I will, huh? Beam ray! Commercial. Now we're really in check. And I want to see this commercial. Well, we don't. We better skip that. It was a good commercial nonetheless. But the wild rhinoceros of Buffalo and the rhinoceros of Buffalo is here. And it's kind of like a mastodon. And those guys in the background are gods, and we have to beam them down. And that we're still playing this game is amazing, because no one's ever played such a long game of this, except for the fact that the whole thing ends up being a long game. And that I'm going to have to require we go a little bit in the future, because this is starting to really, really bear down on why we're not on the ghost train like we are now. And that he's just standing there makes me want to hit this button. And now look at him run across that train. And that he's on the ghost train now is so scary, because that's so much further into the game than where we were, says Dungeon Master. And they're still fighting the same kind of zombie dudes, but they are harder and they fight harder. And now they've got a whole team, and they've got a ghost fighting for them, and they're on a ghost train. This is perfect. This is just like the Japanese history I needed unveiled about Japanese video games that are so brilliant that, even joking aside, the Japanese really do make brilliant games. And I like to joke about it, but only because it's a true joke, and it's not making fun of them. It's to say that we love it so much we can joke about it. And look at this. This reminds us all of the heyday of Final Fantasy, does it not? The ghost setting the table, and him eating a load of the food and getting cured from what else. Hey, if you weren't cured up to this point, like I wasn't the first time I played, hands up. Anyone else? Yeah, you eat this food, you'll be cured, man. And that they're chilling together, even though they're kind of disputing civil war brothers of an Isaac Ishmael sort that came aboard this train not knowing that their hit points and magic points would be restored by the ghost at the dinner table. And this is another meaning to Ghost Before Breakfast. It's the ghosts that serve the Dungeon Master well. Because we all know to play this game you have to be at least part Dungeon Master or have read most of the Dungeon Master Guide, as would be reconciled with required reading other than the Chinese Bible and the Japanese Bible comparison class, which never happened to build up because there is no Chinese Bible. Now he went in this room and he takes out the ghost and all the men are gathered around the chest. It's a trap! Oh, they got Siegfried the Swordman. Well, I guess they're in trouble now. Or did someone call for a battle? Let's go, bro. I can take you on in a heartbeat, yo. You think you're gonna... The ox bellows. Oh! Well, that's a long stint of not hearing you say anything, but it was only like 3 seconds, so, 5-second rule. If it falls on the floor, you can still eat it after 5 seconds of it being there. I've heard there's some kind of redneck rule about that's never brought up to the Japanese, because they would just let it go to waste. No, I'm kidding. I'm not saying they would let it go to waste. That's a terrible thing to say. Shame on me. Scourge me. Throw me against Sigurd the Swordsman again and capture what he has. Because if I remember right, I won that battle and he's still getting away. And I'll never let him get away with this. And he's going to go down in a blaze of glory if I catch him in here. And if he's not in there, I'll find that nasty. Oh, there's still hellhounds to fight, are there? Well, I didn't take you on my ghost train magic ride for no reason. I took you here for a reason. I took you to belong to the people of the colony that you expect will be afraid when my people go to war against the Hellhordes of Morg County. And if the Hellhordes of Morg County say that I should be a merchant so I can sell my wares rather than find them in treasure chests and never see Siegfried the Swordsman again, that I shall go on, and I shall conquer what ails me, whether it be a ghost or whether it be a ghost train. That I will fight with a ghost train is not so hard to convince. That I'm getting geared up to actually show something brilliant, like perhaps maybe this. Oh yes, I remember this. This is a battle I fought long ago. Now let me explain. When I fought this witch wizard, warlock wizard chick that comes out with her magic harp and tries to bite everyone because she's a vampire, that she can hypnotize you into confusion and steal your magic away, I used an ether. But this is still early in the game. This is reconscious, because I remember not being here until 10 hours, but that they're here in 4 hours, we just weren't ready to watch, right? But suddenly we're fighting this gesture, and we're already wondering why we're not on the ghost train anymore, and what all plot happened between now and then is farther than I've gotten on the game in a long time, so hang with me. That I'm even here fighting this boss is one of the boss elements of the game, one of the threshold guardians. That's impossible to beat the first time, and that she runs away is like how Siegfried ran away, and now we're tied up on how it all happened. Her and Siegfried ran away. That's how the ring cycle happens. And that's why, oh yes, Dungeon Master wants a ring cycle. Yes, 36 episodes. Yes, Dungeon Master. That's like the same as 13 full-length movies, And 13 full-length movies are just what we need. And that they're all trapped in ice, and that they're dealing with this situation on the mountain is indelibly up to the Final Fantasy crew to send in the good guys and know what to do. For we will be weather, and weather is true. For catching, for feeling, we're all in it too. And when you go clever and never anew, things will be gratitude, whether they do. And this looks like she's going up the hill to defeat the thing in the box that looks like her friend is frozen in an Esper. And an Esper is a term they use only in this game, and that she even has to fight the Tritok. Means where are the rest of her friends? Why are they still down there doing nothing? She's gonna get sucked into the Esper. Oh, I don't know if we dare watch. What do we do? Do we show the giveaway of between this wonderful young actress that's in Final Fantasy is going to maybe beat this thing, and I don't know if I want to see it because it might be part of her. That we're outside on the map is an important quality of how this all goes down, because there's so many battles that we've already seen how they battle, but now we've got a different party. It looks like the same priorities that we've had since for a while, that they've all been rescued and found again is not quite the point of the game we're on yet, and that the whole world hasn't blown up is part of the game that we're just not showing on Dungeon Master. Because that's so sad that even Dungeon Master's not that apocalyptical. That this world of Final Fantasy is already apocalyptical enough with its ghost trains and its ice caves and its angry witches and voodoo child and everything that we can't even see on a game, and that he's going through the list of his files and we can't watch how this all was made, and we're just imagining while we're playing it how it's made and what they do to even make a video game like this. It's so astounding that after 20 years of being out, or 25 years this game is old, and it's still fascinating even on Dungeon Master's behalf. That we're going into this game thinking we're going to find a dungeon, and then all of a sudden we're relieved to be playing our kids' fantasy isn't really what the point was I was trying to make, because Dungeon Master has other reasons for using it as his dungeon. He was playing Final Fantasy and got stumped with the trivia question, and it's about to be answered. How far can you walk to get into that town? And will they kill you now that you're here? The question of will they kill you now that you're here is not that there's ninjas about to pop out like there were in Final Fantasy 1 when all the ninjas popped out at the port. Although it wasn't like Final Fantasy 2 where Locke had to steal aboard a ship. That was this one. So this one is 2. But if you say this is 2, we actually know this is 3, that Locke hopped aboard the ship on 3. That in 2, it has Edgar the harpist playing at the lake, and there's a bunch of demon ghosts that get out of the water, and they're communing with Edgar, and then he's playing with them on the lute. It's a very clever instruction from why I thought there might be ninjas popping out of this town, because one time I came to this town and it was wrecked, and it was in the same place as in Final Fantasy 2, but it had a slightly different name, and I swear it was Edgar's town. But maybe this town is different than Edgar's town, and it looks a little like the town where the ninjas popped out, and that's just the Final Fantasy style. So now that you've got it all figured out, maybe you should armor up there, Locke, because you're going to need a lot of weapons and sleep. You know, what might happen is you might have a dream that they all wake up from, maybe not, we'll see. Somewhere in the night. Maybe that's where we're getting the Edgar thing from, is somewhere in the night. No, they're waking up, we're fine. We didn't have an adventure in our sleep then. No somnambulist, dreamwalker, sleepwalkers, huh? Shapeshifter anyway, which you all are. And now, I will take you to the last crossing where we need to go. Isn't this an amazing game? Don't we just want to play this forever and ever? Couldn't it be that we have nothing better to do than to destroy monsters? Unless we're taking pictures of the Pokemon monsters. Then we want to spare them all. That they're even hurt is a terrible thing. I would never want a Pokemon to be hurt. That these guys deliver their monsters into control is that they don't let the monsters kill them. That is a good self-defense mechanism that you may need in life, the Final Fantasy battle skill. On which call to make. Do you drink an ether? Do you drink an elix? Do you go into battle? Do you do that first and then go into battle? I mean, these are the choices you're making, man. Do the right thing. You know, you can do nothing, you can do something, or you can do the right thing. And I don't think you want to just stand there and get the ninja shit kicked out of you, do you? Fight for it, man. Be like the Final Fantasy team. They don't give up and they're fucking dead asses. We love them. Thank you. We'll play some more Dungeon Master.
Dungeon Master coming soon. Hold off, I need to remember this game so I can write down the title so I can download it and beat it. Hang on.
Hang on. Oh, yes. I remember it now. It was Dungeon Master 34? Dungeon Master 35. Oh, excuse me. Only Final Fantasy 3 on Dungeon... Oh, I gave it all away. Oh, please, YouTube Masterclass and YouTube Creator. Please forgive me for getting... What was this called again?